Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it's been a crazy process, obviously, with free agency and going through for the first time. But in saying that, I think in terms of obviously being in Vancouver, they were very aggressive. I knew I had a really good feeling about them, and we were talking and things of that nature, and things were looking like they were gonna hopefully go in the right direction. And I think it's funny. I woke up pretty early today and felt like a pretty normal day. And then, as soon as I kind of got the confirmation that obviously I was coming here, I've been overwhelmed throughout the whole day. It's been really exciting, and it's something I just can't wait to get to the city, and I can't wait to get started. I feel very, very lucky and honored to become a Vancouver Canuck.
Tell me a little bit about what you've seen out of the Canucks, obviously a team you've faced off against uh, lots over the past few years, but what did you see that made you excited to join this particular group?
Yeah, I like the way they play. I think that I obviously was in the Eastern Conference, so I only saw them twice. But they're a hard team to play against. They're similar in that way. I feel like that gives me confidence to know that it's going to be similar systems. But they also have really good players. I think the biggest thing for me is obviously looking at the centerman. I think that's a great opportunity for me to come in and excel. And obviously they got lots of punch there. And I just always found that they were a hard team to play against. And obviously, being from Edmonton, I've also watched Vancouver over the years too, so I understand what the fan base is like. It'll be really really cool to see that in person, obviously. But there's a lot of things that really came into it. But playing against them, seeing the steps they took this last year, obviously going to Game 7, and I've been there. I understand how that goes, but to get a taste of that I think really helps a group, grow. And I'm just coming in a position where I just want to come and help and try to change the outcome.
Ian McIntyre, Sportsnet.
Hi, Jake. Welcome. I'm glad you know what the fan base is like. So you're coming in, your eyes open. It's a great place to play. A lot of attention, obviously. Two quick questions for you. The first, you're 27. You've got obviously a good body of work behind you. You still got a lot of work left in your career as well. Where do you see the areas of your game that you think you can still be better? Where's the growth for you to come?
Yeah, I think honestly everywhere. I think that's something that it's the best league in the world, and there's lots of areas to improve. I think last year I took good steps in my defensive side of the game. I still want to improve on that. Obviously, it's not necessarily pretty when it comes to points and things of that nature, but when you're playing against the top lines every single night, you got to outscore them to win, and your best players always come out on top. So I like focusing on that. I would say in general, but obviously speed's the biggest part of the game nowadays. I think that's one of my best attributes. But I'm constantly working on that because everyone else is getting faster as well. And then just overall, I think consistency. I know that's something that lots of people like to talk about when it comes to me. And I feel every player deals with different types of consistency issues when it comes to this league. But I think that, my habits and things of being a pro every day definitely are something that I'll be very focused on. And even if, say production isn't necessarily there at certain points, I know I can help out the team in different ways. So that's kind of how I look at, things I'm looking to improve is probably just speed overall in this overall game. I feel like I have lots of experience. So, it's one of those things where I got to start using that now.
And again, being aware of the market, you'll be well aware that there's going to be tension between Vancouver and Boston for a long time, even though you came well after 2011. I'm just wondering, like, what did it feel like to you? How aware were you of that when Boston would come to play here? And has your phone been blowing up with your Boston friends giving you a hard time about going to Vancouver?
It's been blowing up, but they're actually happy for me, at least from the Boston side of guys. I have lots of good friends over there and guys I've played with for a long time that understood that something like this was probably going to happen, but they're just really excited for me. In terms of the rivalry, I think obviously playing with Marshy and Bergie for the first couple of years, and even Kretsch, there's a little bit of that, especially when the fans, especially with Marsh. I mean, that's always pretty obvious, but like you said, I was after that. Obviously, I remember watching it, but I was not really a part of that kind of team. So, but it definitely was. It was always interesting seeing how the people reacted around him, which I totally understand.
We'll go to Brendan Batchelor, Sportsnet 650.
Hi, Jake. Welcome to Vancouver. Want to ask you about the power play. You've had some success on the man advantage in Boston. Obviously, you alluded to a couple of the high-end centers, but also a guy like Quinn Hughes and Brock Besser that play on the power play in Vancouver. How exciting could that opportunity be to be a part of that group on the man advantage be for you?
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, I didn't even mention those guys. There's lots of weapons and obviously in different places, which is really exciting for me to come in and join. In terms of the power play, I played kind of on both units this last year in the playoffs. I was back on the first unit. I've usually played net front. I played a little bit of half wall, sometimes bumper here and there. I think over my career, I've kind of played everywhere. I'd probably say net front's probably more where I've been the most. But to be honest with you, I think any player would say this. It doesn't really matter where you go on that side of things. At least for me personally, if you're playing with those type of players, I think that if you're out there with them, it's that's good enough. You go wherever's needed. So I think that's one thing I guess I'm versatile at in a sense, where I think I can help out in different ways. If things go wrong or things change, I think that's something that is exciting as a guy coming in, to see a possible opportunity there.
And how familiar are you with Rick Tocchet? What have you sort of heard about him? And obviously, joining a team with a reigning Jack Adams Trophy winner has to be exciting from that perspective as well.
Yeah, I've heard lots of great things about him. Obviously, like you said, the Jack Adams and everything, but even from before, there's obviously connections there, and I've heard lots of good things. Obviously, a coach that asks for effort and execution. It's something that I think I thrive in. I think that I've had coaches even from junior that are kind of the same cloth, I guess, in terms of that, and I think it's one of those things that's really rewarding as a player, and I'm really excited to join that. And I've talked to him a couple times, and he's really eager for me to get started. And I think it's one of those things where I'm just really happy to join this group, obviously led by him, and do whatever is needed and whatever is asked.
Jay Janauer, Global BC.
Jake, congratulations. Let's be honest. Who's more excited about you signing here, you or your dad, with your dad's connection with Rick?
Well, I mean, my dad is an Edmonton guy, so I'm not exactly sure. We kind of were joking about it, but I would say me. I still think I have the edge over him on that. I know that it was a tough time for him in terms of being on the outside when it came to this decision and everything. But I think I'd have to give myself the edge on that one. But I know he's definitely excited for that as well. Obviously being closer to home too, get to see them more is something that I took into consideration as well. So we're both pretty excited, I will say.
With your dad having played with Rick, how much did you lean on your dad in terms of, the type of guy that Rick is, and did that have any influence? And what excites you about playing for Rick and his system? Because it seems like you could seamlessly fit in with him.
Yeah, I obviously, and once I kind of figured it might be Vancouver, I was, trying to figure out different things and trying to look into every aspect I could to help make my decision, which, was obviously one of them. And, I heard lots of good things, obviously, from my dad. I trust my dad. And, as a coach, they played together. So obviously, we wasn't coaching, but just even over the years of different things, I think his track record speaks for itself. And I think that anytime you can come into a place like that with a coach like that, you can get better and you can excel, and it's someone that you want to listen to. And I think that goes hand in hand with the second part. I think that's like you said, with the systems, it seems like it'll be pretty seamless. Obviously it's going to be different. I have only known one system, but at the same time I think that there's a way to play the game. It's the right way, and that's something that has been ingrained in me since I've been 18.
Ben Kuzma, Post Media.
Welcome to Vancouver. Your dad looks like he can still play. There's evidence on Twitter of him doing the gross grind today in Vancouver. A, does that surprise you? And B, how much of it is an influence on that side of things? Just, the conditioning, the physical aspect that you can bring to the ice on given nights and your off-season training.
Yeah, it does surprise me. Seeing him move around like that, I haven't seen that. But he's like you said, he's always been a workout freak in that side of things. I don't know if he does necessarily cardio these days, I would say. Probably just upper body. But he used to love it back in the day. And honestly, I think it's the biggest reason why I'm even in this position today. Going from up the ranks, even when I was a kid, I couldn't have obviously done it without him. He's my biggest reason why I'm here to this day. In terms of just training, in terms of what to kind of expect. It's really nice. It's an advantage to lean on someone like that where, you can talk things through, and obviously he's around the game, even nowadays, doing, color and things of that nature. So we bounce lots of ideas off each other, and he's always been really focused on that side of things. He was a bigger player, when he was playing, obviously a tough guy. But he always wanted to be at certain weights and things like that. So I try to lean on him as much as I can. I mean, I've done this now this will be my 8th season. I feel like I know what it takes, but there's always room to improve, and it'd be, dumb of me not to look for any avenue to get better.
Can you give us a quick scouting report on your former Bruin teammates who are joining you here in Vancouver?
Yeah, I guess I'll start with the hometown guy in Hino. Obviously, we came up together, from the start in Boston, and really good two-way player. I think he's a player that has great poise out there. He makes plays, isn't afraid to make them. I think he's really sound defensively. Obviously, I think his analytics and everything like that can support that. He's a guy that's got a great shot, and he's a good pro. I think that's something that I've always noticed with Heino is, how he takes the game and how it's evolved over the years. There was a couple of years we weren't together, but really excited to be with him again. It was nice to have him back this year and so forth. And with Derek, obviously, he's a bigger player, bigger D man that is a good penalty killer. Like, he loves eating pucks. He's a funny dude. He's a little bit of a guy that you got to warm up to in some ways, but he's a funny guy, and really good for in and around the room. And they probably would just consider him a defensive defenseman that plays through a lot. So I have a lot of respect for both those guys, and really excited they're joining us.
Last one will go to Chris Faber, Canucks.com.
Hey, Jay, congratulations on the deal. Wanted to just ask about the last couple of years. It seems like your penalty kill minutes have really gone up a lot. So I'm curious how that kind of developed over your career, and how you got to that point of wanting to be a penalty killer.
Yeah, well, I think it was one of those things where, when it came down to ice time, I think there was a stretch of games. Not exactly sure how it started off, but I got asked if I'd want a penalty kill, and I didn't want to miss any rotations necessarily. I felt like if I wasn't, say playing, if there's penalties, how games go, it's all off scripts, obviously, but there's certain times I just felt like I was on the bench, and I got asked about it, if I would do it, because I have speed and a good stick, and I was like, why not give it a try? And I think that's something I've grown with, as the years have gone on. Like you said, it's gone up and up and up, and I think that I've become an effective one. I still think I'm learning. I think the defensive side of the game, in terms of what I was even talking about before, especially with the penalty kill, special teams are everything. Special teams, especially in the playoffs, can make or break you. And I want to be a part of that, even on the defensive side. In terms of trying to figure out different ways to also help the team out in different ways, even if I'm not producing. I think that's one thing how I took it. And I think that obviously being around a guy like Patrice Bergeron, and really good two-way player, obviously probably the best ever, the Selke himself. I have a lot of respect for him, and I really lean on him when I first started penalty killing. And I'm just trying to be hopefully around what he was at for that.